Good evening. Welcome to the Northwoods podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Abair, aka Space Dorito Guy. Well, I used to be, but that's another story for another day. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, I'm recording 2 episodes back to back, so that's why I still look the same. I don't wear the jersey all the time, trust me, only on days that end with Y. But, getting back to it, we're going to be talking about Boris Yeltsin, because after hearing that one fucking story, I had to go into figuring out just how fucking wild was this guy's life. And let me tell you something. Boris Yeltsin had a wild fucking life. Needless to fucking say. The guy was... He's on something. That's the best way to put it. Now, we're not only going to be talking about that, we're also going to be talking about, again, crazy stories, mainly revolving around warfare again, but, again, branching all over the place as usual, because who wants to just listen to the same stale shit over and over and over again? I know I don't. Definitely started to show with my content when I was still on TikTok and I was popular. You know, if I didn't get banned by TikTok, I'd have over 235,000 followers due to comedy. Comedy that apparently was deemed not okay for TikTok, even though I have had multiple people steal my entire format to a T and have gained hundreds of thousands of followers off of it and are still on TikTok with no violations. And the only time they would ever get violations was for talking shit to other people, but I couldn't talk shit to myself without getting a fucking violation. So, go figure. The pioneer of fucking Mill Talk banter and just world news banter in general was the one that got pooched off for one of the stupidest fucking reasons in the history of getting banned by shit. So with that being said, again, welcome to the Northwoods podcast. I am your host, Jerome Abair. Today, like I said, what we're going to be talking about is fantastic. I fucking love it. This guy is fucking hilarious. Boris Yeltsin is a fucking G. Now, in the future, I will have people that are coming onto the show to talk about their military experiences, maybe comedic things that have happened while they're in the military, other people that are sharing their likes, their interests, things in that general nature. Will be all over the place. If you yourself, take it for instance, were in the military and have a crazy story of some time in combat, or just a crazy story in general having a night out in South Korea, because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that for what I'm finding out. Per se, you have crazy cryptid story, but you don't want to just, put your identity out there. You don't have to in order to be on this show. Just shoot me an email at scodenwindigo@gmail.com, and we can discuss getting you onto the show. Now, with that being said, let me light my smoky, open me window, because it's fucking beautiful outside. It's damn near 40 fucking degrees, and it was below zero a couple of days ago, right? And let me pull up the chats. For those of you that are in the chat right now, I do apologize. I do not have it up. There's already a couple of you in the chat. Appreciate you all being here. Hold on, my tablet was having a moment of rebellion, but we've solved that issue. I have officially sent him to the gulags. I now have a new operating system. There's just a giant heart on my screen. What the fuck is going on? Go away. What is this? Go away. What the fuck is going on, my guy? On a list of things that piss me off, tablets piss me off. Why did I go to fucking... Alright, so I don't... If I could ever get the damn Twitch chat pulled the fuck up, skip ahead if you're listening in the fucking future right now. I do apologize, because tablets are ass and they fucking suck and they piss me off. To everybody, Guy Spawn, hello guys. I wish it was actually slightly colder and on to around freezing. I don't know where you are, but it has been severely cold where I'm at. I'm in northern Wisconsin. You could probably tell with the Packer shit in the background. Don't bring up the Well, I guess you can bring up the Packers, because, I'm a Packer fan, and they've started to do quite well. Now, if I could, I do really apologize, guys. I'm having to do a whole lot of manual shit that I should have already had done, and I did have done, and then my tablet was like, oh, hell no, bro, that ain't gonna fucking fly today. Alright, everything's set up, we're set and going. I'm gonna light my smoky. This is a cigarette, by the way. I'm not going to show it, but it's a Lucky Strike. I can't believe I found those non-filtered, right? Oh, you're in Indiana. You fuckers are probably still colder right now, aren't you? Or I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know if the heat wave is coming up by you guys or coming up. I haven't looked into it at all. I stopped paying attention to the fucking weather because it was horrible outside. So I started lighting my stogies inside because I wasn't going outside. The tip of my dick was starting to freeze. And I was wearing pants. Like, what the fuck? Anyways, with that being said, again, welcome all to the podcast. This is episode number 2. And like I said, today we're going to be starting off talking about the ex-president of Russia, Boris Yeltsin. Boris Yeltsin is a colorful character, and as we discussed on the last podcast, which blew my fucking mind, I had no idea that this was something that had happened. He went to Washington, D.C. in 1995 and was staying at the Blair House. Now, the Blair House is basically a building at the White House for people of the world to stay. So, presidents of other countries. Now, Bill Clinton was the president at the time, and it's no secret that Boris Yeltsin and Bill Clinton had a bromance with each other. Don't know the level of it, but knowing Bill, you never really fucking know with the guy. And I ain't a Fed boy. It's around the same temp as you. Why? No one said you were a Fed there, Geistbahn. But now I'm a little worried. Don't kick my door in, mate. But now getting back to talking about Boris Yeltsin and this incident, he was staying at the White House in 1995, and the man had a taste for a drink. I can already see why him and Bill Clinton got along, because Bill Clinton was already a notorious party animal. Now, at that night, he proceeded to get smash blacked out fucking drunk and managed to sneak away from his security team at around midnight to 1 in the morning. He then... I'm not even surprised at this point. Right? But, hold on, getting to it. But then... after sneaking away from his security team, he made his way to the basement of the Blair House, where he was then discovered by U.S. Secret Agency security, who at the time did not recognize him, let alone know who the fuck he was. The man was in his underwear, wearing dress shoes and socks. That's fucking it. Nothing else. Just that. Pissed drunk, speaking Russian. The security guy immediately determined that he must be a local drunkard that somehow managed to make his fucking way into the White House. Yes, I have no idea how he managed to make that fucking assumption, but he did. He then escorted Boris Yeltsin outside the White House to the street, where Boris Yeltsin, in his fucking underwear, dress shoes, and socks, began to attempt to hail a cab. Imagine a Russian man at 1 in the morning in his underwear on Pennsylvania Avenue outside the motherfucking White House attempting to hail a cab because he wanted pizza. Yes, in fact, Boris Yeltsin was on this adventure for the sole purpose of getting him a sweet, delicious slice of American fucking pizza. Can you blame the man? Probably fucking not, especially coming from and growing up in Soviet Russia, which, as we're going to talk about here throughout this podcast for a little bit, he fucking hated communism. Passionately. It's quite crazy. Now, during this time period, while he is outside in his fucking underwear attempting to hail a cab, yelling in Russian, none of the cab drivers were pulling over because, I mean, come on, basically bare-ass naked, 50-year-old man, pissed drunk, yelling in Russian for a cab. Who's stopping for that? I don't think anybody's going to stop for that. You don't want to run that fucking risk, because you know damn well he could probably throw some fucking hands even while he's blacked out drunk. So, the cabs kept driving on by, and at one point, one of the security agents of the White House happened to notice this man outside the White House, pissed drunk, attempting to hail a cab. He then radioed in and described the man, which then made its way to the fucking Russian Secret Service that was there as his bodyguards, who, upon hearing the description of the man outside the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, discovered to open his fucking door that the man was gone. Their president, Boris Yeltsin, was fucking missing, and they flipped it into fucking overdrive, sprinting out there, because the Secret Service was already going out there to deal with him. Fun fact, turns out none of the Secret Service agents that responded actually knew who the fuck he was, let alone recognize the man. So while they were out there interrogating this guy who is now pissed drunk yelling at them in Russian, the Russian security detail team rolled up and clarified that this man is in fact not a random homeless Russian man that lives in Washington, D.C. This is the president of fucking Russia, bare-ass naked on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., attempting to get some fucking pizza. Well, his advisors and his security team managed to coax Mr. Boris Yeltsin back into the White House to his room, where, later on, he did in fact receive his motherfucking pizza. Because when you're the president of Russia, you get what you want. Even when you're bare-ass naked, blacked out fucking drunk in Washington, D.C. Now, that is one of the wildest fucking stories I have ever had the pleasure of learning about. So with that, I had stated on the last previous podcast, the first one, that somebody needs to go out of their way and research the antics of this man. Because if this is the shit he is doing, while in other countries, especially the United States of America, which at the time, he was playing the middleman role of making buddies with the West, which, as we can see, has now completely unraveled under Vladimir Putin's control. But looking at this man and his actions that night in Washington, D.C., I was compelled to do a little bit more digging, and holy fucking shit, does this guy not disappoint. This is not abnormal Boris Yeltsin. This is actually normal Boris Yeltsin. This is something he has regularly been fucking doing his entire time in office. And the man loved to drink. Cheers and dilly-dilly to that. Now, let's get into some of Boris Yeltsin, and we'll look at first, starting off, 10 facts about Boris Yeltsin. Boris Yeltsin was the president of Russia from 1991 to 1999, the first publicly and popularly freely elected leader in Russian history. Yes. Russia did not have its first ever diplomatic election till after the Soviet Union fell, but they went from czars to Bolsheviks, so what are you going to fucking do? Now, after a heroic visionary who helped him bring down the... Yeltsin was a mixed figure on the international stage, variously considered a heroic visionary who helped bring down the USSR peacefully and took Russia into a new era. Yet also a chaotic and ineffective alcoholic, more often the focus of ridicule than praise, which, again, I actually disagree personally with these statements on this guy. Because reading about him, he seems like, honestly, the funnest fucking drunk to be around I have ever heard about. The guy is fucking hilarious. And personally, if I had the choice to pick who I wanted to sit down with people throughout history and have a drink with and a great fucking night partying, Boris Yeltsin is on the top 5 of that list. We'll make it 10 people. But Boris Yeltsin's top 5. He's top 2 on my fucking list. He's one of the first people I'm putting in there. Next is like George Patton. Because I think George Patton was already a hilarious motherfucker without even attempting to be hilarious. So I can't imagine him pissed up on some fucking Tennessee fucking whiskey. That would be great. Fantastic. But getting into Boris Yeltsin's younger years, his family was purged. The year before Yeltsin was born in 1931, Yeltsin's grandfather, Ignaty, was accused of being a kulak. A kulak in Russian is known as a wealthy peasant. During Stalin's purges, the family's lands were confiscated, and Yeltsin's grandparents were sent to Siberia. Yeltsin's parents were forced into a kolkhoz. I said that wrong. Kolkhoz, a collective farm. He lost his fingers playing catch with a fucking grenade. Yes, Boris Yeltsin played catch with live fucking grenades. Soviet Union. Whilst at secondary school, so I'm assuming that's like middle school. English people, you can correct me because I do believe you guys have the same style of education where it's like first, second, third, secondary school. I know like the Canadians call it like grade 9 and grade 10, while we just go first, second, third, fourth, fifth here in the States. Whilst at secondary school, Yeltsin was an active sportsman and prankster. One prank backfired spectacularly when the grenade he was playing with exploded, taking off his thumb and index finger on his left hand. He had a St. Pierre Paul moment and fucking blew his damn fucking tiddlywinkers off. Boris Yeltsin in his younger years had admitted to reading illegal literature. Now, he did not admit to reading this while he was in communist office. He admitted to reading these once he was totally out of office. He waited till he was good and in the clear, and Russia was no longer communist, so he couldn't, well, still to this day, no one really knows if he died with legitimate circumstances, but with that being said, he admitted to reading illegal literature. Despite being a devout communist to begin with, Yeltsin became disillusioned with the totalitarian and hardline elements of the regime. This was reinforced, and he would later claim when he read an illegal copy of The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Say that fucking 3 times fast. The book detailing the worst atrocities of the Gulag system became a key read in the underground literature of Samizdat of the USSR. Samizdat. I'm not really good at reading Russian. Number 4. He resigned from the Politburo in 1987. I don't know what the Politburo is, but okay. Yeltsin handed in his resignation from the Politburo, the control center of the USSR's Communist Party. Okay, then that makes sense. So he resigned from the Communist Party in 87. Before this resignation, Yeltsin had been openly critical of the party's shunted reforms and, by extension, of the USSR's leader at the time, Mikhail Gorbachev, which, upon reading, he worked for Mikhail Gorbachev majority of his career. Some Russian town called Stolvistol, or something like that. Somebody will correct me in the comments. But he worked with Mikhail Gorbachev. That was the guy that essentially helped him get up to the top. This marked the first time in history that someone had voluntarily resigned from the Communist Party of Russia, Soviet Union. Like I said, this guy's fucking wild. The balls on this man, it's incredible. So, getting on further with Boris Yeltsin's life, he once gave a speech sitting on the barrel of a tank. Yes, on August 18th, or on the 18th of August, 1991, just over 2 months after being elected the president of Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, or the SFSR, Yeltsin found himself defending the USSR from a coup by communist hardliners opposed to Gorbachev's reforms. Again, like I said, he worked side by side with Gorbachev the majority of his career. Yeltsin sat atop one of the coup. Oh my God! Yeltsin sat atop one of the coup plotters. They put the whole fucking word together. Tanks in Moscow and rallied the crowd soon after the coup failed and Yeltsin emerged a hero. So this guy walked over to the tank of one of the fucking personnel members that was attempting the coup, and then stood on top of it and was like, "Fuck you gonna do, mate? You ain't gonna do shit, and I'm gonna sit here and talk shit about you. What are you gonna do? Shoot me?" And nobody shot him. Because Boris fucking Yeltsin, bro. Like I said, the guy is fucking crazy wild. And the stories about this guy only get crazier. On the 8th of December of 1991, Yeltsin signed the Belovesh Accords in a dacha, holiday cottage, in Beloveshchia, Punchka in Belarus. I already know there's just going to be a fucking contemplation here in the near future of me just fucking up names royally. I don't apologize. I am who I am. Illiterate and stupid. Oh, shit. Effectively ending the USSR. He was accompanied by the leaders of Belarusia and the Ukrainian SSRS. And Kazakhstan's leader attempted to join, but his plane was diverted. Probably due to fucking Borat or something. My life, number one prostitute, all of Kazakhstan. Yeltsin had gone into the meeting to discuss the restructuring of the USSR. Yet in a matter of hours, and many, many drinks later, the death warrant of the state was signed, and the original document was found to have gone missing in 2013. We could probably figure out who is in office at the moment and did something like that with their actions as of late. I guess that Simpsons episode best describes what is going on. Where, the guy goes, the Soviet Union is prepared to help the United States, and the U.S. representative turns around, Soviet Union? I thought you guys changed your name. And he goes, da comrade, we wanted you to think that. And then he hits a button, and the Russian Federation changes over to the Soviet Union, and then tanks drive out of, like, parade floats with children on it and shit. Yeah, it's pretty damn funny. Number 7, he had major alcohol issues, which, again, no fucking secret, and as of no fucking surprise whatsoever at all. Hold on. Gorbachev was a good Soviet leader. To be honest, I don't disagree. Like I said, the guy is fucking hilarious, and he never really seemed to be on a path of nuclear holocaust. Best way to put that. He was attempting to prevent the nuclear holocaust that might possibly happen. He was even led a spearhead to get rid of all nuclear weapons on Earth. Yeah. But Yeltsin attempted to get rid of all nuclear weapons on Earth. Not like get rid of them, but basically make everybody come together and go, we won't use this shit on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? If ET comes down, then we're going to drop back like we're fucking Justin Herbert and just start bombing that shit at them. But getting back to it, number 70 had a major alcohol issue. An intoxicated Yeltsin on a visit to you was found running down the pencil. Okay, we already discussed that. Where he was running down and it says wearing only his pants, but in reality, no, he was only wearing his fucking underwear, dress shoes, and socks, and he attempted to hail a cab after getting kicked out the White House by Secret Service members who thought he was a fucking local homeless drunk. He eventually got his pizza, but that's pretty damn funny. Moving on, since we already talked about that in fine detail. Number 8, he embarrassed a party of Irish officials in 1994. Yes, on September 30th of 1994, Yeltsin left a party of dignitaries, including Irish ministers, waiting awkwardly on the runways of Ireland's Shannon Airport after allegedly being too drunk or hungover to depart the plane. This motherfucker was passed out drunk on the fucking airstrip. Boris Yeltsin's not a little man. He is a big guy. He's like fucking 6'2", 260 some odd fucking pounds. That is a unit. That's a fucking unit of a man. And he's Russian, so he's probably got that Russian bear strength. You put a little alcohol into this man, and he might just rip your fucking face off like a pissed off chimpanzee. But could you imagine that? In all countries, he goes to fucking Ireland. He gets absolutely blitzed off his ass in Irish fashion. And then in further Irish fashion, just to honor the Irish, he passes out drunk outside, face down on the fucking tarmac of Shannon Airport. I love this man. This man is a world leader. A world leader we should all applaud and be thankful that, sadly, we were not all personally graced to witness this shit happen, but I'm so glad there's so many stories of this man now coming out because he's sadly dead. He passed away in 2007 of a heart attack at like age 76. So he came from an era of Russians that were only expected to live to like 56, and the man was a raging alcoholic and said, I don't give a fuck about my pancreas, I don't give a fuck about my liver, I don't give a fuck about my kidneys, I'm gonna smash vodka. And he was notorious for grabbing chicks' asses. So he was he was a man. That's the best way to put that. Yeltsin's daughter would later claim her father had suffered a heart attack, which he was known to do, and like I said, he died of ultimately in 2007. Circling over Shannon would go on to become an euphemism for being too drunk to function in Ireland. This man did the fucking Irish proud. This man did Ireland proud. I don't know how the fuck the dignitaries of Ireland are pissed off about this, let alone embarrassed. I'm surprised there wasn't three other fucking Irish blokes that just wandered up to the guy that were all fucking drinking out in a park, saw this fucking dude smashed off his ass, speaking fucking Russian, and were just like, you know, chaps, let's go party with them. And they went and partied. I can't do an Irish accent very well. Well, maybe I can, but I can't do... No, now it's just Russian. I'm going to stop. But I'm surprised none of the locals didn't walk up to this guy and started getting smash blitz drunk with him as well. Sad Ireland. You missed your fucking, that is your job. That is what you're fucking known for. You had 300, you discovered whiskey, and then for 300 years after whiskey, nothing. Not a fucking thing. Fun fact, yeah, after Ireland fucking made, I do believe it was whiskey. It was a form of alcohol, but I do believe it was whiskey. After they made whiskey, there was a 300-year gap of nothing out of Ireland. Nothing. And then they made chocolate milk. So clearly there was a drunk Irishman one night that ran out of alcohol and wanted a chocolatey sweet substance and looked at a fucking bit of milk and a Hershey's chocolate bar more than likely and was like, I'm going to stick that in there. I'm going to heat it up and then I'm going to stick it in there and I'm going to mix it. Boom, chocolate milk. Number 9. He came very close to nuclear war. In January of 1995, a team of scientists launched a rocket to help study the northern lights from Svalbard in Norway. The Russian military, still feared of a U.S. attack, interpreted this as a potential for a strike, and Yeltsin was brought to the nuclear suitcase. Thankfully, nuclear Armageddon was averted when the true purpose of the rocket was established, and more than likely because Boris Yeltsin was drunk off his ass and was BFFs with fucking Bill Clinton, and probably called Bill up like, Mr. Saxophone Man, why you launch nuke? Why you launch nuke, Mr. Saxophone Man? I will tell press about you and Monica. And then he talked a few minutes like, no, don't worry. We're just studying the Northern Lights. And then he had to turn around and look at the fucking, like, presidential aide he had and was like, do not tell news about Monica Lewinsky. While dude was already on the fucking phone with, like, the U.S. media and was like, Boris, I have already told them. You wait till now? You told me to call immediately. So I call immediately. No, we have no gulags anymore, I thought. And Boris was like, take his ass to the fucking gulag right now. Car battery to titties and balls. I want four connecting points. Very large car battery. But thankfully, of course, Boris Yeltsin being Boris Yeltsin and being buddies with Bill Clinton, probably made a fucking, it doesn't state here, but he probably made a fucking phone call. And that's more than likely how it went. Thank you, Hunter. You're probably onto something here, Geist. Moving on, number 10. He became very erratic towards the end of his presidency. In the last days of his presidency, facing a 2% approval rating, holy shit, fucking Joe Biden looking ass motherfucker. Oh, my account just got banned. No. Yeltsin became increasingly erratic, hiring and firing ministers almost daily. When he finally resigned on the 31st of December, 1999, the relatively unknown figure he appointed as his successor was the last man standing in the game of musical chairs. That man was known as Vladimir Putin. Oh, throw down in the comments what you think about that. That was 10 facts about Boris Yeltsin. We're going to continue. I got 2 pages opened up still. More to talk about. The legendary drunk of Russia, Boris fucking Yeltsin. Okay. Oh, here's another good one. Let me check the chats quick. You're going to fucking love this. You're going to fucking love this. Boris Yeltsin, in 1989, visited a Houston grocery store. And this visit is credited with being the pivotal moment that brought the end of communism in Russia. A Houston fucking grocery store managed to make this guy royally dislike communism. He already didn't like it. He was a huge critic of communism. Well, after he got to the top, though, he sure as hell didn't say shit making its way up. But once he got up there to the top, he was just like, this shit sucks, comrades. This shit blows, okay? It sucks. We can't even order pizza, okay? I went to the fucking White House, right? I went to fucking White House, and I left in drunken stupor, tried to hail cab to go get pizza like I normally do, okay? It's normal here in Russia to be down in boxers and wear nothing but dress shoes and then go get pizza. Blacked out drunk. That's totally normal. In America, very frowned upon. Very frowned upon, it turns out. So I asked my comrades, we end communism so we can all get Uber Eats. We're a fucking McDonald's at this point with a delivery system. So the world is in turmoil because of musical chairs. Actually, yes, essentially, Vladimir Putin managed to make his way to the top simply because he was, again, like they said, the last man standing. There were so many candidates, and in the last few years of Yeltsin's tenure, he was firing and hiring and firing and hiring. And by the time he resigned, Vladdy was the only one pretty much left standing out of this entire scenario. Alright, getting back to this, because this is just fucking wild. Hold on. In the honor of Boris Yeltsin. Okay. In September of 1989, just 2 months before the fall of the Berlin Wall and amid the final years of the Soviet Union, a member of the Soviet Parliament paid a visit to a grocery store in the Clear Lake area of Houston, Texas. His name was Boris Yeltsin. He had been the mayor of Moscow, and in 2 years later, he played a significant role in the end of communism in Russia. He also later served as the nation's first post-Soviet and democratically elected president of the Russian Federation. But on the 16th of September 1989, Yeltsin just wanted to catch a glimpse of everyday American life. So during his visit to NASA, I mean, he's a great guy, but somebody want to fucking tell me why a Soviet fucking diplomat is visiting fucking NASA? That just screams national security fucking risk. But getting to it, so during his visit to NASA, he asked to check out a local grocery store to again observe everyday American life. Because being in the Soviet Union, he didn't know what the fuck was really going on over here. Paul Yerga answered the phone that day at the Randall's store, now a food town, at El Dorado Boulevard off of Highway 3. He was the manager on duty that day. Yagura told Houston Matters producer Michael Hegarty it was just an ordinary Saturday, until the phone rang in the courtesy booth. He says the store only had 10 to 15 minute warning that he was coming. No sign of any heavy-duty security or anything around. The guy showed up pretty much balls deep naked. Like I said, this guy's a trip. Yerga said there was no TV vans because nobody knew about it, and no radio people, again, because nobody knew this was happening. It was just kind of really spontaneous, Yerga says. So nobody had time to get there. It was very low-key, and it was a vibe. Bop. Yerga recalls Yeltsin walking around talking to the employees through an interpreter and seeming most interested in the frozen foods. Back in those days, the frozen goods weren't behind glass doors like they are today. They were in open-air containers on the ground that you had to bend down to look in. Yerga says those were known as coffin cases. I was impressed by how down-to-earth the guy was, Yerga said. He was very unassuming and very polite, making these comments about Boris Yeltsin. So again, that's why I keep saying, the guy's a fucking trip. The guy is just a fucking trip in general. Everything about him is, it's fucking wild. Cheers, mate. Okay, going back down. A Houston Chronicle reporter tagging along that day. So I guess there was one writer that was with. I mean, somebody had to be with to fucking document this shit, I guess. A Houston Chronicle reporter tagging along that day wrote an article about the occurrence, saying Yeltsin roamed the aisles of Randall's, nodding his head in amazement. Frozen food will fucking do that to you, man. And a photographer captured images of Yeltsin checking out the produce section and seeming to be very excited about some frozen fucking pudding pops. Joe Biden probably would have got along with this guy real fucking well at this point, hearing this. Get my pudding pops. Fucking love pudding pops. Pudding. The story could have ended there. Simply a fun moment of cultures colliding. But later in life, Yeltsin admitted the visit made a profound impression on him. It cemented his growing view that the Soviet state-run economic system had left the Russian people far, far behind of the Americans, forcing them into a much lower standard of living. And it set in motion a path that would lead him to become the figure that would lead Russia out of communism. Pudding pops ended communism. Pudding pops ended communism. What the fuck? Sorry. I can't fucking fathom that in a attribution to the ending of communism in Soviet Russia was due to the fact that Boris Yeltsin went to a Houston grocery store, looked at some frozen fucking pudding pops, and went, "Comrades, why do we not have frozen pudding pops? Why do Americans have frozen pudding pop, but I don't have frozen pudding pop? I want frozen pudding pop while I'm drinking my vodka. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Communism done. We get rid of communism, and then I get my fucking pudding pops." This is fucking incredible. A few decades later, Evan Mack and Joshua McGuire heard about this unusual moment in Houston history. Naturally, they thought, it sounds like the making of a comic opera. No, seriously. And now there is a comic opera in Houston, Texas, known as Yeltsin in Texas. It's no longer showing. But yeah, if you guys want to take the time after this podcast, you can look up Boris Yeltsin's highlights on YouTube. I highly recommend it. The guy is fucking hilarious, like I said. Everything about the guy is a fucking hoot. Alright, here we go. And bringing this up to a head for Mr. Russia's Yeltsin. He was known for gaffes and off-color jokes. I don't know the definition of what that means, so I'm going to guess like unsavory jokes. I'm not exactly too damn sure about that. This guy is something fucking else, though. Moscow. Former Russian President Boris Yeltsin, who died on Monday, developed a penchant over 15 years in high office of jolting world leaders by committing gaffes, cracking jokes, or blurting out flippant comments. Fuck. Never comfortable with the rigid protocol required for high-level meetings, Yeltsin frequently shunned the niceties of diplomacy to say or do exactly what came to mind. The motherfucker was literally living off of impulse. He ran completely off impulse. I respect that. I mean, it's probably not the smartest thing to do in his position, but fucking A, it carried him far. Sometime Yeltsin's lapses appeared related to excess drinking. Though aides always vehemently denied it. I don't know why the fuck people gotta use fucking words no one's ever fucking heard of. His outlandish behavior grabbed headlines even in Soviet times. Before his victory at Russia's first democratically elected president in 1991... Okay, the guy fucked up writing this, but he goes, in 1889, yeah. In 1989, Yeltsin had to account to the Supreme Soviet how he had ended up at a police post outside Moscow, dripping wet, and wearing only his fucking underwear. Oh my god, this is a goddamn trend. This man ends up violently fucking drunk, strips down to his fucking skeevies, and then just goes off on a fucking adventure. Mad respect, I think we've all been there at one point. I have never stripped down to my fucking underwear, but I've definitely wandered off into my fucking woods a few times drunk off my ass. I admit nothing. That Sasquatch didn't know what he had coming. Wrangled him up behind, slapped his butt cheeks. In the name of science. He said he had been attacked. His head covered in a sack, and then he was dumped off a bridge into a river. Top communist said he had been drunk while on his way to a tryst with a lover. A tryst? I don't know, probably something in Russian. With a lover. So he was pissed up drunk, blacked the fuck out, went to go get some booty, then somehow ended up in a fucking river in only his underwear. This don't make no fucking sense. Like, this man took this story to his fucking grave, obviously, because this sounds a little bit wilder than the Washington, D.C. fucking incident. But, sadly, he took this to his grave. There's not much more on the fucking... Oh, damn, I'm going to have to do some more research on that situation. Hopefully I can find more fucking shit on that situation. Thinks military humor, but Russian, it's much funnier, but way less appropriate. Right? Alright, where were we? Okay. Yeltsin's antics. Okay, once in office with the Soviet Union, replaced by 15 states, Yeltsin's antics attracted worldwide television attention. In 1992, he played the spoons, a popular musical instrument in Russia. Yeah, things you see fucking hobos just doing that shit. But he ended up playing the spoons on the head of Askar Akayev, the president of ex-Soviet Kyrgyzstan. Could you imagine being in that room when this man did that? Just drunkenly walked over to your fucking... Like, you're one of the advisors for Kyrgyzstan and the president at the time of Kyrgyzstan. And Russia's royally fucking hammered president walks over with 2 spoons. Not 1. 2. And with those 2 spoons, walks over to your fucking president, stands over his head, and proceeds to fucking play musical fucking spoons with your president's motherfucking head. What do you do? I don't know if this is a shit sign of, like, dominance, or if Boris Yeltsin is just one of the most outlandish, crazy fucking drunk motherfuckers I have ever heard of. But this is fucking incredible. And I wish somebody would have got this shit on tape. Because I promise you, if there was a video of this, I would fucking say fuck the copyright right out the window and I'd play that shit right now. But sadly, there is no video of Boris Yeltsin playing the spoons on Askar Akayev's head. Fuck! I know there's in the future, there's gonna be a contemplation of me for like 10 minutes just fucking words up. But I better get tagged in it. You want to hear my spoons? This motherfucker could play the spoons. Hunter, if you can play the fucking spoons, post that shit on TikTok and fucking send it to me. Or tag me in it. Geist Von Dye says, I would love to see that happen to Biden and watch how confused as to what's... Oh my god, yeah, that would be fucking hilarious. Just, someone walks over, pudding pops. Pudding pops. Pudding pops. I can see it now. Kamala's in the background like, oh! Taking the baton. Officials marking the departure of the last Russian troops from Germany the same year looked on and aghast as Boris Yeltsin stumbled after a champagne lunch, seized the baton from the leader of a military band, and insisted on doing the conducting himself. I fucking love this man. Later that same day, he grabbed a microphone at the reception and sang, tunelessly as it states, but I would imagine it was the most beautiful song that has ever been sang and has ever graced the ears of the German people. If they love David Hasselhoff so much, Boris Yeltsin was probably a much better option to listen to singing. And I would probably take Boris Yeltsin over fucking David Hasselhoff. That fucking dweeb. I can say that. He's not as big as he used to be. He can't kick my ass. I don't think he's got any sons either, so... Ain't no one whipping my ass! In perhaps the most celebrated incident, Yeltsin failed to emerge from his plane. Oh, yeah. Yeah. During a stop... Oh, this one says differently than the other one. It says he failed to emerge from the fucking plane, where the other one said he was drunk on the fucking tarmac. I'm gonna believe that he was drunk on the tarmac. Okay. Fatigue was used to explain a 1997 gaffe when Yeltsin startled listeners in Sweden with a dramatic pledge to cut Russia's nuclear arsenal and seek a total world ban, which we talked about earlier. This guy literally wanted to get rid of nukes, which then the Kremlin spokesman said Yeltsin had made the comment after a long day of meetings and it was a mistake. We could have had world peace. Thanks, Kremlin. Well, not world peace. I think nuclear weapons probably have stopped a lot of fucking big fisticuff matches, especially the Soviets and the Americans. Could you just fucking imagine if we didn't have nukes? The Russians and the Americans would have been throwing hands a long fucking time ago. Boris is the leader every nation needs. I'd vote for him. Seriously, this guy is fucking... This guy's something fucking else. Like I said, when I read about that first fucking story of him in Washington, D.C., drunk off his ass in his goddamn underwear trying to hail a cab to get some pizza, I had to go further. I had to research this man further. And there's a lot more stories, but this is so far what I was able to dig up, because 90% of the internet is just everybody clamoring to talk about him trying to get a slice of pizza in Washington, pissed up, drunk, in his underwear. Which sucks. But I'm guessing since this was in Soviet Russia, there was not a lot of, I'm probably gonna have to go to Russia one day and fucking track down people that knew him. And see what kind of crazy fucking stories I can get out of these people about this guy. Because again, there's not a lot on the table right now. From what I spent a good 2 hours looking for this shit, and this is pretty much all I could find. Okay, here we go. Never the one to respect political or gender correctness, television cameras caught him at a 1995 meeting with foreign correspondents, playfully tweaking the backside of a secretary. Sounds like this woman was enjoying this if there was multiple fucking dudes that are world leaders pinching her ass cheeks. It's Monica Lewinsky. Oh. Fuck me sideways. Cameras also showed him energetically twisting on stage to rock music during his 1996 re-election bid. Highly recommend watching that. It is fucking hilarious. Later, it emerged that he had suffered a heart attack several days later. That is not good. Poor Boris. Poor fucking Boris. Alright, moving on. We're sadly running out of Boris stories. I could attempt to find more, but like I said, this took me 2 hours to gather this. Sometimes he would resort to homespun anecdotes and Russia's fondness for vodka to appeal to ordinary Russians. I don't know why the guy that wrote this fucking stopped, but okay. To appeal to ordinary Russians, some say that vodka is too cheap now and we should raise prices, but I haven't the courage to do so yet. He said in the run-up to his 1996 campaign, and by golly Jesus, that man was fucking re-elected. My name is Boris Yeltsin. I am running to be president of Russia yet again. Some say the prices of vodka are too cheap. Too cheap. To those of you that say vodka prices are too cheap, right to fucking gulag. I emphasize in nice way. We have nice gulag now. It's no longer Soviet gulag. No. It is nice gulag with puppies and kitties and AK-47s. And sometimes the random T-75. If you vote for me, Boris Yeltsin, I promise, like Costco, I promise that the prices of vodka will never go up. Just like Costco's hot dog remains to be $1.50. Fucking insane. I know. How do they do it? They make no money. Makes no sense. But I, Boris Yeltsin, promise no vodka raises. And you know what? If I become president with re-election, vodka for everybody, even your 5-year-old son. Right, little Dmitri? Yes, Daddy, I would love vodka. Who's to say it wasn't? Right. Okay. People have special feelings to... Oh, it goes on! Fuck me! People have... Oh, I'm gonna redo this whole thing. Some say that vodka is too cheap now, and we should raise prices. But I haven't the courage to do so yet. People have special feelings towards this drink. They don't mind a nip or two after work, so I won't be in a hurry to raise prices. Vodka for everybody. Boris Yeltsin, 1996. This guy has got to be the wildest motherfucker I have ever had the pleasure of learning about. And you know what? I'm going to fucking turn this into a trend for the podcast where I just find essentially the craziest stories of world leaders that I can fucking find. Which I have been able to do a little bit some. But let's talk about fucking Boris Yeltsin real quick, since we went through this entire rundown of the man. And like I said, if I could find more information on Mr. Yeltsin, I am totally going to bring that back to the next podcast. Boris Yeltsin might become a frequent fucking thing on this podcast, because the guy is a fucking hoot. I've never in my life thought that I would read about an ex-Soviet fucking president as fucking lovable as this guy. I mean, and Russia hated this guy, and still to this day, they severely hate this guy. But here in the West, let me tell you, Russia, you had a fucking gem. And you fucking smashed him. I don't know why you shouldn't have done that. The guy is a fucking peach. Oh, let's see. Hunter says, best campaign ever. I mean, how do you say no to cheap vodka? I mean, seriously, especially in fucking Russia, that's a guaranteed re-election right fucking there, without a goddamn problem at fucking all. That man is going right back into fucking office. Everyone's gonna drive their Ladas to fucking work. The Gopniks are gonna be pissed drunk in the fucking streets, dancing to fucking hard bass, just bunka, 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 bunka. And Russia was going to be whole and sewed back together. In the name of the motherland, Boris Yeltsin held that nation together with vodka. Oh, fuck me, man. All right. Well, that being said, with Mr. Boris Yeltsin, let us all take a swig in the honor of the man, the myth, the legend, the fucking Yeltsin. Let's take another one, just because he would do the same. As he says, a nip or two. I don't drink liquor, so I'm not going to take a nip. Oh, I really want to find more on this guy, but like I said, it took me so long to find what I just told you guys, that I know I'm going to have to fucking dig now to find even more shit. Cheers, mate. Oh my God. I'm dying. It's warming up so much outside that like my fucking nose is like unfreezing. So next off, we're going to move over to 10 funny stories from history. History. Because we all fucking love history. What the shit? I'm not subscribing to your fucking website, let alone giving you cookie access to my computer so you can sell my fucking information to, like, the Chinese or some shit. Fuck off, piss up a rope, get your fucking left testicle caught in a fucking doorknob. Or car door, there we go. Oh, could you imagine that? Write that down as a fucking future torture tactic in case we go to work there, Kenneth. I gotta get like a little fucking like voice box in the background that just has like, got it, boss! The Scottish accent. I got a buddy who's Scottish. He could fucking do it for me. Alright. Prost. What the fuck is Prost? You mean toast? I guess we can do another toast. Cheers. Ugh. Alright. Students sometimes consider history to be one of the less exciting subjects. I call bullshit. History is the funniest fucking subject there is. And anybody that did not enjoy history in school, in my opinion, should not fucking vote. Like, if you did not pay attention to history, you're the reason why it repeats. You're also the reason why this shit keeps going in a full fucking circle, which is, like I said, history repeats itself. That's a known fucking statement because people who don't pay attention to history go and do the same exact shit that has already happened in history, which then leaves people like me and you looking at these bastards going, what the fuck are you doing? You're making everything a revolving door. And they go, no. That's a lie. It worked in the past. It's just like, no, you don't know shit. It didn't work in the past. But here we are. Again, we're all going full circle. Welcome to the turntables of life. But there are many funny events from history that get left out of the school books. Some of them might be considered too raunchy for history class. And I can tell you, the French. Holy fuck, the French were fucking wild. Those motherfuckers were crazy. 90% of the crazy fucking stories that I researched for this shit are French. Because the French were fucking wilding out. I mean, still to this day they're wilding out. Keep burning their damn cities down. Prost. Cheers in German. Gotcha, mate. Well, since I just learned that, Prost. I do apologize. You see me look down over here? This is where I got my whole setup for the tablets and shit, so I can see all the chats from Twitch and YouTube. So you guys can sit here and chit-chat back and forth. But let's move on. The first one is of George S. Patton. In 1917, when George S. Patton was stationed in France during World War I, the mayor of a French town mistook a covered latrine pit for the grave of one of Patton's soldiers. This is one of those moments where, you know, most of us Americans really despise the French. And if you're French and you're listening to this, I just want you to know, we really fucking hate you. That's not to be sugarcoated in any fucking form, fashion, or any sweet fucking croissant fucking glaze. Fuck you. Fuck your pompous ass. I don't like you. And majority of people here do not like you. Stop being dicks. Just stop. You don't know everything. Cut it out. Moving on. But like I said, this one is an actual lovable French story. So I guess we can go back and say, you know, the French from the 1900s, early 1900s were pretty chill people. But one of the mayor of a French town mistook a covered latrine pit for the grave of one of Patton's soldiers. And Patton didn't correct the mayor. And when he visited the town during World War II, he found that the locals were still respectfully maintaining the grave. This during Nazi occupation. Which, I guess, would show that the fucking Germans were like, okay, I guess, you know, it's a soldier's grave, and everybody knows you don't fucking, you know, you don't do anything to graves to begin with, but especially soldiers' graves. Patton wrote about the incident in his memoirs. It happened in the French town of Bourg, where Patton's tank brigade headquarters was located. One day in 1917, the mayor came to Patton weeping and asking why Patton hadn't mentioned that a soldier of his unit had died. Patton wasn't aware of any casualties amongst his men, so he went with the mayor to visit the grave. It turned out it was a latrine pit that had recently been covered with dirt. The last soldier to use the pit had made a cross-like sign that said, "Abandoned rear." American humor. Even back then, it was still pretty fucking funny. He's like, I thought we was talking about JFK. No, I mean, we'll leave that for another day. I don't need a fucking sniper outside my fucking window, you know what I'm saying? When Patton realized the mayor had mistaken a makeshift toilet for the grave of a soldier, he chose not to correct the man. In Patton's memoirs, Patton wrote that when he revisited the town 26 years later, the grave of that national hero, abandoned rear, was still maintained by the natives in an utmost fashion. These people took care of a pile of American poo. You know, I kind of take back what I said about the French, because your grandparents apparently were fucking really honorable fucking dudes and ladies. That's fucking respectful. I mean, Patton should have corrected the guy. I would have, but I guess Patton probably thought it was fucking hilarious. Moving on to number 2. Some of you have probably heard about this. Some of you probably haven't. I'm just checking the chats quick. In 1950, during the Korean War, some U.S. Marines ran out of mortar rounds, so they used a radio to ask for more ammo. But when making their request, the soldiers used their code name for mortar shells, which was Tootsie Rolls. The person on the other end of the radio took it literally. And when the airdrop arrived, it was filled with actual fucking Tootsie Rolls. If I survived, I would have went back and kicked that radio man right in his dick. A veteran who was there said he survived for 2 weeks on fucking Tootsie Rolls. Okay, so it turns out this Tootsie Roll drop kept his ass alive. Afterwards, the soldiers started referring to themselves as the Tootsie Roll Marines. According to some reports, the soldiers put some of the airdrop Tootsie Rolls to good use. I gotta shave this fucking mustache. I don't know if anybody else rocks a mustache and a beard, but I got this problem where my fucking hairs right here will hook up into my nose, and as I talk, I get like fucking stabbed in my nostril. It's horrible. It's fucking horrible. You guys might see me on the next podcast clean shaven and looking like a fucking 12-year-old church boy, which is fucking, it's embarrassing. I look old now, but as soon as I shave, dude, I look like a fucking toddler. That's why I keep a beard. The incident happened in December, and the temperatures were freezing. The soldiers realized candies would freeze solid in the cold, but could be turned into a kind of putty, warming them up. So they used the candies to patch holes in hoses and other equipment. What the fuck? Are you serious? This is something for where I live, where we generally get negative fucking temperatures. Like, it's fucking normal. That I probably am glad I just learned about, because I'm going to buy a bag of Tootsie Rolls and keep that shit around for when shit breaks in the winter while I'm working on construction sites. Where the fuck did that go? Oh. My cigarette fucking took a fucking dive bomb into the goddamn fucking depths of my fucking corner here. Alright. Reading some of the comments here. Hunter states, I'd be so pissed. Like, at first, I'd been like, yeah, sweet candy. But after I realized no Artie was coming, I'd be pissed. I'd be fucking furious as well. Geist states, I've never had that happen. I just wake up eating it. Oh, your beard. Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say, hold on. What the hell was our conversation moments prior to this? Hunter states, and my beard is long now too, pokes up into my nose. It's fucking annoying. Oh, you're in the UP. You're only like fucking couple miles away from me, bud. Cheers. Bring me down some of that legalized smoke, if you know what I'm saying. Fuck. Alright. The incident happened in, freezing, warming them up, At the time, 15,000 U.S. troops were fighting off 120,000 Chinese. Let's just be honest. The fucking Chinese came fucking... The accounts of the Yalu River are fucking insane. They said one moment it was peaceful, and the next thing they know, flares were going up, and literally the side of China's fucking Yalu River was like... It was moving. The hills were moving like fucking ants. That'd be fucking terrifying. I ain't gonna lie. That'd be fucking terrifying. You just firing a machine gun just into a crowd, just like... You know, every fucking round's probably hitting somebody, and they're still coming. They're still coming. They're still coming. And they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming. Eventually, the Marines punched a hole through the enemy lines and made it to safety. We've all probably heard this one. In 75 BCE, Julius Caesar was captured and ransomed by pirates who didn't realize who he was. The whole time he was their captive, he bossed them around. From time to time, he would also warn them that he would have them crucified. The pirates assumed he was crazy, but after he was released, came back to capture the pirates and then fucking crucified him. Man of his fucking word. Cheers to that. Oh, let's delve into this, even though most of us have probably heard about this. It's a fucking wild story. I love this fucking story. Zombie movie in real life, right? Hunter states, hell yeah, brother. About to pack a bowl right now and continue to enjoy my history lesson. Fucking hell yeah, mate. I got my little CBD thing here, but the damn thing started canoeing, so I just put the fucker out. Alright. Caesar was 25 years old and traveling to study in Rhodes when he was captured by the pirates. When he learned the pirates were asking for a ransom of 20 talents, could you imagine your currency being called a talent? Like an eagle talent? That's pretty fucking tight. I didn't know that. I just learned something. That's pretty badass. He laughed and suggested they ask for 50. Throughout his captivity, he refused to act like a fucking prisoner. He bossed them around and shushed them when he wanted to sleep. He also made them listen to the speeches and poems he was working on. Whenever the pirates weren't impressed by his writings, he said they were too stupid to appreciate them. Could you imagine being a fucking pirate, having no idea what... Obviously, you're a literate pirate ass, that you are in possession of, at this moment in time, the most powerful fucking man on planet Earth. And he is telling you what to do, telling you to shut the fuck up when he's trying to get some sleep, and then forcing all of you while you work on the ship to listen to his poems and his speeches and his writings in general, and when you don't applaud him, he calls you an ignorant dickbag that is too stupid to understand his astute writings. This is probably why the pirates found him so fucking entertaining, was because this guy probably came off as the craziest motherfucker they had ever fucking encountered, and all they knew when they captured him was he was wearing some rich fucking robes, and he was probably worth some bands. But again, 20 talents, and he was like, no, I asked for 50. Well, these motherfuckers could have asked for the whole coffers of the Roman Empire. Oh, man. Exactly. I love how he told him it was not enough. I plan on getting some in Michigan soon. Oh, yeah, that's right, Geist. You're just a little bit below mainland Michigan. Wait, Indiana's some of the not so forward-moving states. I love how my state has the slogan forward. Like, we're always leading the fucking charge for change, but in reality, we're fucking... I have to have CBD. It's Delta 8, but still. The ransom was delivered after 38 days, and Caesar was released. He then gathered a naval force and went back to the island where he had been held captive. He found the pirates were still there, and he captured them. Later, when the governor of Asia... Am I reading that correctly? When the governor of Asia seemed hesitant to punish the pirates, Caesar personally went to the prison and had them all crucified, keeping his word to the pirates. That's kind of a dick move. I mean, personally, if I was Caesar, I probably would have went back on my word. I probably would have kept him in, like, my personal prison. I would have brought him back to Rome, threw him in, like, a bathhouse, made some guards keep their asses in there. And then, just to continue to fuck with them, because this is the kind of person I am, I would go back and recite my speeches and poems to them all the fucking time, like every fucking day. I would go back and rehearse with them. Because do you know how fucking funny that would be? Personally, to me, that'd be fucking hilarious. Like, these guys didn't believe you, and now you come walking in as the fucking emperor of fucking Rome type shit, and these bastards, you put them up in a bathhouse so they can wash their asses. I mean, they're pirates. They probably fucking stink to high heaven. And they're sitting in a bathhouse, and their punishment, I do it for, like, I don't know, I do it till I got bored. So probably about a year. And I'd probably start to, because I'm a sympathetic kind of person, I'd probably start to feel sympathetic towards them, and I'd just give them their fucking freedom. I'd be like, okay, just, you know, like, here's $50 type shit, the 50 talons, whatever that's fucking worth. It's probably worth some fucking money. Someone look that up quick. Someone go and look that shit up quick. Tell me how much 50 talons are worth at this time period with Julius Caesar. Which Caesar was this? I'm guessing this is the first Caesar. And he doesn't have his fucking follow-up little number. Ah, damn it. I hit the fucking beard and I poked myself in the fucking nose. But yeah, I would have just fucking kept fucking screwing with him. Like, fuck it. I guess Caesar didn't have that kind of sense of humor, which in my opinion, every leader needs a good sense of humor. Because if you don't got a good sense of humor, you're just a fucking unruly dickbag half the time. I mean, look at our world leaders now that don't have senses of humor. They're just unruly dickbags. Alright. Guy states, what's wrong with keeping your word? There's nothing wrong with it. Keep your fucking word. Like, if you told a man, I'm going to fucking crucify you when I get out of here, and they laughed at you, you're probably going to come back and crucify a motherfucker. But me, I'm a little more sadistic than just fucking ending someone's suffering that fucking easy. And if they, I figured out these motherfuckers really hate the fact that they have to listen to my speeches and my poems, you can bet your ass that's your sentence, is going to be listening to my speeches and poems. And you know what? I'd probably do it like fucking pissed up drunk all the time. Like Boris Yeltsin, I just come stumbling into the fucking bathhouse like, you, come here. I'm gonna read this to you. Her ass was fat. Her lips were red. The taste of wine is something I dread. You stupid pirate. Suck my dick. It's your own fault that you have to touch my prick. None of you fuckers clip that. That's going straight to the fucking TikToks. If you're not following the fucking page, it's the Northwoods podcast. But TikTok's kind of being a dick about it, so it's still kind of called Space Dorito Guy Gaming. I've had to change my name because of the ban. I'm not allowed views, but since I've changed my name, have made new images for representation of my content. TikTok's being quite nice. So I guess we're just gonna move on. I'm still Space Dorito Guy at the end of the day, the first motherfucker that y'all fell in love with. But we've had to change the name to Space or Space Dorito, or in this instance, the Northwoods podcast hosted by Jerome Abair. Yes, I have a French name. Go fuck yourselves. He's like, oh, Hunter, you sadistic bastard. Hunter states, I do it on repeat. Like the same poems every other week. Cycle them through, though. Or just have them the same day at the same time so they get used to the fucking rhythm. And you gotta wait, and you don't stop that poem till they're reciting it back to you word for word as you fucking do it. Hunter's on my wavelength here. Hunter's on my fucking wavelength. Hunter also states, and the ones on the boat that they hated that made them say anything to start with. You make the motherfuckers that really hated it on the boats learn the poems and then force them to recite it back to... Julius Caesar missed a goddamn golden opportunity. He probably needed somebody like us as advisors because we would have made better history. That would have been fucking hilarious. Alright, moving on from Mr. Julius Caesar, as good as that fucking story is, and as good of a conversation as we're having about it. From 1409 to 1417, the Catholic Church had 3 rival popes, who each denounced the other as illegitimate. We talked about this on the first podcast, but it's pretty damn funny, so we'll do it again. In 1378, the cardinals of the Catholic Church were unhappy with the newly elected pope, so they elected a new one. Now, what ended up happening was, they left this out a little bit. The first pope, the dudes were French, and when they went to Italy, the Italians demanded that they elect an Italian pope. So, they did. And then they went back to France, to Paris, and then elected a French pope, which then created 2 fucking popes that were each telling everybody in the Catholic world that the other was illegitimate. Don't listen to that other motherfucker. It gets better. Hopefully they state it. I think they do. If they don't, I'll correct it and fucking, you know. The 2 rival popes both claimed that they were the real pope and the other was illegitimate. This created a lot of confusion for Catholics and hurt the reputation of the church. The popes were asked to mutually resign or allow a council to select which one would be named the true pope. They both refused. So, in 1409, holy fuck, this went on for like 30, 40 years? Holy shit! So in 1409, the church tried to solve the problem by electing a 3rd pope, which only confused matters fucking worse. This period of rival popes became known as the Western Schism. This is just fucking nuts. I didn't know that shit went on for like, holy fuck. So it ended in 1417. So from 1378 to 1417. Talk about dragging your dick to get a problem fixed. God damn. This is like city workers working on fucking highways. It finally ended in 1417 when a special council was created and given the authority to strip the rival popes, all 3 of them, of their titles, and then enable the election of a single new pope, Martin V. Go figure. Okay, check the chats quick. Cheers. Oh, ideal Vargoe. Miller Lite is a cruel, cruel mistress. In the 1820s, John Quincy Adams approved an expedition to the center of the fucking earth. Holy shit, how have I never heard of this? Part of the plan was to meet the race of people living inside the earth and to conduct trade with them. This is what happens when you read a book and you take it too literally. The proposal was made by an American Army officer named John Cleve Simmes Jr. He had been touring the country and giving lectures about his theory of a hollow earth. Oh my fucking God. This is the equivalent of having somebody who is a flat earther walk up to President Biden and go, Mr. President, I need not one, not two, but 3 nuclear aircraft carrier fleets. I require 100,000 U.S. Marines. And our goal is to sail to the edge of the earth and walk through all that ridiculous mumbo jumbo like the mud and all the other like bullshit purgatory shit that exists on the outside of our flat earth and go straight to the giant mountain ice block fucking Game of Thrones fucking wall shit that surrounds our whole fucking planet. And then Joe Biden just goes, they got pudding pops? And the guy goes, there's pudding pops there. Joe Biden's just, send the goddamn Navy. Geist states, my ancestors felt the surface dwellers weren't ready to meet them. What? Oh, shit. Getting back to this. He believed the Earth was made up of several spheres, and that there were openings at the North and South Poles that could be used to get inside the Earth and explore to the hollow interior. So he planned to take 100 men to the... I fucking knew it. He was demanding military fucking personnel. So just like I said, this would be like a flat earther fucking demanding like 3 U.S. nuclear carrier fleets with 100,000 Marines to go look for the edge of the fucking world. Kids are racing through my town while there's black ice all over it, and I'm surprised I didn't hear him slide into something. Don't be an idiot. Don't do that. Of course, he probably would have drove into the county building, and... I'm joking. No. He planned to take 100 men to the Arctic and use sleighs pulled by reindeer. This is getting wild. To travel to the North Pole and enter the Earth. He also believed that there could be a race of people living inside the Earth. These people were called the Geist von die Volks. Yep. We don't have pudding pops. I love jokes, but it's fun, Geist says. Let's see. He also believed that there could be a race of people living inside the Earth, and part of his plan for the expedition was to establish trade with them. The theory was considered laughable by most people, but when Sims lobbied the government to fund his expedition, John Quincy Adams said, "Fuck yeah, brother. Brother. My brother. I'm going to give you all of your resources, my brother. You will go to the center of the earth, my brother, and you will find the queen." Yeah, I just revived that dead fucking meme. Ugandan Knuckles will never die. Even though he finally found his way back to Uganda. Another one. I know there's going to be a fucking future video of me cracking beers doing this, and someone's just going to have DJ Kelly going, another one. Another one. That's going to be like a 3-hour-long fucking video. Alright, next up. We have... Well, we go back to fucking Rome for this one. But not during Roman times. In 1518, the Roman city of Strasbourg, hundreds of people came down with dancing mania, where they danced for days on end and seemed unable to stop. Some of the dancers kept going until they died from exhaustion, strokes, and heart attacks. Experts say it may have been a form of mass hysteria. The event became known as the Dancing Plague. Well, we live in a time where we know about mass fucking hysteria. This wasn't the only case of groups of people being affected by dancing mania. There was a number of outbreaks that happened in Europe between the 14th and 16th centuries. Medical historians say it was likely a form of mass hysteria caused by extreme stress combined with the belief that they were being forced to dance. Because the devil walked up, took 2 fingers, and stuck it in their ass and made them fucking get down with the wiggle woggle. Get down with it. Get down with it. Forgot I was eating dill pickle chips. For instance, in Strasbourg, there was a local belief that Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancers, would curse people and force them to dance. Other explanations at the time included that the dancers were possessed, or that the dancing was brought on by spider bites. I liked my theory much fucking better. My theory was much better than somebody going around, fucking goddamn spiders, man. Fucking spiders bite you in your ass cheek, right? And next thing you know, you got the boogie. You got the boogie woogie. I like my theory of just 2 fingers in the ass and the devil makes you fucking dance. That is much funnier. Again, history would probably be a lot better with people like us fucking being in positions of power. I would have took full advantage of that situation and made up the most outlandish shit, knowing somebody in the near future, not having a podcast of the situation, but somebody in the future would read about that and go, fucking what? Oh, I know the way of my brother. Thank God I can't dance, so I'll never have to worry about that. Hey, you never know. The devil might walk up with 2 fucking fingers and a little bit of... and get you to do the weeble wobble. Oh, fucking A, man. Hold on. When 400 people joined in the dancing in Strasbourg, officials tried to help, but probably contributed to the problem. They assumed people just needed to get the dancing out of their systems. So they set up halls for the dancers with musicians and professional dancers to help out. It just ends there. It just fucking ends there? Am I tripping? It does. It doesn't go into further fucking explanation. How the fuck... That's like leaving me blue-balled. What the shit? Fuck the guy that wrote this article. As soon as we get to the bottom, I'm calling his ass out. They're smart like that. They always put their names at the bottom of the article, so as you get pissed off at them, and you give up reading, you never truly discover what dickbag wrote the fucking article. In 1698, when King Charles... XII, I don't know Roman numerals, so if you know it, kick that shit into the chat, please. Guys, oh my god. Guy states, you don't know how good it is until you try it. No. King Charles XII of Sweden was 16. He became known for throwing wild, drunken parties and going out into the streets to cause havoc. I think we may have just found our next subject of fucking learning about here. We're gonna take this name real quickie poo, right? And go and look up something. Okay, I think I might have found our next article, which is going to be about King Charles. One night he went running through the streets of Stockholm, yanking hats and wigs off of people's heads. Well, that doesn't seem fucking funny and wild. It just seems like he's a douche. In the summer of 1698, Charles' cousin, the Duke of Holstein-Gottorp, visited Stockholm to marry the king's sister. What? I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Incest. And the Habsburgs have been waiting their whole moment and all their life. Incest. Okay. The Duke was 10 years older than the king and seemed to have a bad influence on him. The pair committed a variety of outrageous acts that summer, and it became known as the Gottorp Fury. Their antics including throwing furniture out of the palace windows, throwing cherry pits at the king's ministers, and taking a group of young people through the streets to wreak havoc. The young king finally toned down his behavior after a bear was killed at one of his parties. The bear had been forced to drink wine, and then it fell out of a window. When it happened, Charles vowed to never drink strong alcohol again. The man's alcoholic nature was curbed by watching an alcoholic bear fall to its death. Fucking what? Oh, man. Oh, shit. Hunter states, I eat Taco Bell with the devil finger, won't give me the fucking... You two are fucking great. You two are hilarious. I hope you fuckers end up in the chat a lot more often. This man witnessed a motherfucking bear A bear blitzed. A bear shit-faced. A bear so down in the dumps that it could barely walk on its 2 fucking paws, yet it's not supposed to really walk on 2 fucking paws. But I'm assuming it was. Because bears are on all fours. I doubt a bear could find its way over a balcony on all fours. But I'm pretty sure a bear standing on 2 fucking legs could just be like, peace out. And just fucking dip into the next fucking era of life. Or wherever the fuck it ended up landing, which hopefully wasn't on somebody. Oh, fuck me. Let's see. He vowed to never drink strong alcohol again, with only a few exceptions. He kept his vow until his death in 1718. So yeah, the man witnessed an alcoholic bear fall to its death, and it changed his way of living forever. Honestly, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't think to quit drinking. I would just be like, why the fuck is there a bear pissed up drunk on my balcony? And why the fuck did it fall off? And again, who brought a fucking bear to my party? What the fuck? This is insane. Hunter states, imagine a bear dying makes you stop, if anything, let alone drinking. If anything, I'd pour one up. I would pour one for him because he went out like a fucking legend. Yes. Oh my god, seriously. What the shit? You had a bear at your... How fucking wild are these parties? What did we miss? There are bears drinking at these parties? Why is this not normal? Oh, man. Fucking... Oh, God. What's his name? Mike Tyson's gonna see this shit and be like, give me a fucking bear, man. I'm gonna treat that fucking bear right. I'm gonna get that motherfucker to fucking drink some fucking cognac with me. Quick. Look up, call the fucking Tiger King. I need a bear. I can't do it fucking... Oh, Mike Tyson's still alive. I'm sorry, Mike. Don't beat my ass. Yeah, you do. You gotta love Russia. I live in the UP. Drunk bear is not that normal thing. No, drunk bears are not that fucking uncommon, to be honest. They get into fermented fucking shit, and the next thing you see, them bastards are fucking weeble wobbling the fuck around. I think the funniest shit I've ever seen was that black bear. They went to scratch his back on a post after getting some fermented something. I think it was like pumpkins or something, apples. And he was holding onto this wire, and then he broke the wire, and it just went perfectly right into his fucking nads. He took 2 steps and just hit the ground flat, huffing. I've never seen an animal have a human reaction to being smacked in the balls, but I learned that day that if I get attacked by a bear, I'm going right for his fucking gonads. Squeeze! Pretty sure the bear will let go, because, I mean, human men, we let go. You're in a fight, and someone grabs your balls, you're like, ah! Number 8. In 1921, the 15-year-old former emperor of China, Puyi, decided he wanted to have a phone installed in the palace for his personal use. His advisors tried to keep him from getting one because they were afraid it would give him too much independence, since Puyi usually had no contact with the outside world. But when he finally got his phone, he just used it to make prank calls. One of the emperors of China got a fucking telephone and immediately started prank calling people. Legend. Fucking legend. It's a normal ting. If it drop a bear, I'm taking notes for real. Alright. Puyi was the last emperor of China. He lost his title when the empire was abolished in 1912. After that, he became a symbolic leader and still lived in the imperial palace. Puyi learned about telephones from one of his tutors and decided he wanted one. At first, his advisors told him it was a bad idea because it would go against tradition. Later, they had his father tell him that giving outsiders the ability to call into the palace's inner sanctum would hurt imperial dignity. But in his autobiography, Puyi said the real reason they tried to stop him was that they were afraid of what would happen once he had contact with the outside world, since he had been confined to the palace since he was a young man. Once Puyi got his phone, he used a Beijing telephone directory to start making prank phone calls. He called a famous opera singer in Beijing, and then giggled and hung up. This motherfucker sounds like a 5-year-old boy. Several times he called restaurants and had large meals sent to random addresses. I hope he fucking paid for it, and those people just got a free meal, rather than showing up and just being like, been chilling. Fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. That one wasn't as good as the other ones. Number 9. There was an ancient Chinese board game called Lubo. And there were 2 recorded cases of Chinese nobles killing their opponents by hitting them with the fucking game board. Fucking what? It's like your buddy beats you at Monopoly and your fucking reaction instead of flipping the board is to grab it and beat your homie to death with the fucking Monopoly board. Oh, this ought to be good. Li Bu dates back to the middle of the first millennium BCE, and over the years, the rules were lost. But it's believed that it was a 2-player game, where each player had 6 game pieces instead of dice. Players threw 6 sticks to determine how to move their pieces. Apparently, people took the game very seriously as it led to at least 2 deaths. Fucking A. This heat is causing me to fucking decongest. The first case took place in 682 BCE when Nangong Wan Jojo Ningong Wong hit Duke Min of Song with the Lubo board. The second case happened hundreds of years later, sometime between 156 BC, when Emperor Jing of Han was still a crown prince. He was playing Lubo with the Prince of Wu, got angry at his opponent, and killed him by throwing the fucking board at him. What the shit is this board fucking made out of? Titanium? Jesus Christ. Either the board's made out of something so goddamn fucking dangerous, or these motherfuckers are just that strong whipping this shit. Oh man, that's fucking great. I might have to look up a little bit more about that. Oh fuck, we got King Charles V of France, who reigned from 1380 to 1422. He struggled with mental illness and delusional thoughts all throughout his life. There were times when he thought he was made of glass, and so he had his clothes reinforced to protect him from shattering. Yeah, you might be a loon. King Charles V started believing he was made of glass. He refused to let people touch him, and he had iron rods sewn into his clothes. He thought that the rods would keep him from shattering in the event he came into contact with another person. Why didn't nobody just punch him? I would have just punched the man. He would have been thankful, because he would have been pissed at first. I've been like, but did you die, Mr. Glass? Did you die? And he'd be like, no, I did not die. I am not made of glass. You are now a duke. Or some stupid shit. Whatever the fucking French use. The condition of King Charles suffered from later became known as glass delusion. It occurred mainly in the late Middle Ages and usually affected people in the wealthy and educated classes. So you're telling me the smart and fucking wealthy were the fucking idiots walking around going, don't touch me. I was made of glass. Fucking what? I feel ya. From negative windshield to back 30 plus. Yeah, right. I'm fucking decongesting. I do apologize for everyone that has to listen to that shit. It's horrible. As a result, it became associated with the wider disorder of scholar's melancholy. Besides glass delusion, some sufferers of scholar's melancholy believed they were made of cork, were as heavy as lead, or that their heads would fall off their shoulders. These are the people that were leading these nations intellectually and politically. Fuck, I thought we had it bad, but we don't got it that bad that yet. Alright, let's see. What else do we got going on here? Boop-a-doo, let's see what else I got a couple other things fucking... What is this? 10 annoying myths people still believe to be true. There are some myths that are believed to be facts. Some of these myths have been followed for decades. These common myths and misconceptions have made our lives a lot harder. We take unnecessary precautions and stress our careless wear where we need to be cautious. We've seen our forefathers following some myths, and we do the same without gaining much knowledge. It becomes hard to distinguish fact from fiction when we've spent our entire life hearing them again and again. Here are 10 annoying myths people still believe. Okay. This one might seem a little stupid because the first one's kind of stupid. You can detox your body from toxins and parasites by drinking certain teas or taking some weird medication. Yeah, I don't think that'd work. Yeah, this is just kind of stupid. Alright. King Charles sounded like a wild motherfucker. So we're going to look up the wild shit of Mr. Charles XII of Sweden. AKA the second fucking Boris Yeltsin we've probably run into in one fucking night. And that's not what I was looking for. More. This is what pissed me off about the internet. I've looking up a specific fucking thing, and it's gonna give me a bunch of fucking ads someone paid for. Like, I'm not looking for that shit. Fuck it. I had something else lined up, so we're gonna. This might be a little stupid. I could probably find something better. Give me a second. Okay. I managed to find something good right off the bat, so don't worry. This isn't over yet. Weird history stories that you have to read to fucking believe. Oh, fuck. I'm throwing my hat on. Where's me fucking hat? Cold War condoms. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union fought in proxy wars, the space race, and in sports. They used all kinds of methods, from spying to psychological warfare. Both sides loved to use propaganda campaigns against each other. The Americans took a very interesting approach. In the late 1950s, the CIA launched an operation to drop hundreds of balloons over Soviet-controlled Europe. The balloons included propaganda and large condoms. The idea was to shake the enemy's confidence by implying the Americans were much, much more well-endowed than your Soviet. I don't know if it worked. That'd be nice. Oh, fucking A. Thomas Edison made the first cat fight video in 1918. I'm looking at a picture with two cats with boxing gloves in a fucking ring punching each other. Hold on. That explains much. Have it worse, but it's like, wait, yeah, Sally, you're not wrong in my opinion. Some teas do have health benefits. Some teas do, yeah. And it's only going to get worse, I guess. I came from TikTok to your YouTube. Yeah, they have made it extremely hard to find me on pretty much every fucking platform. Like I said, if you go onto YouTube, you have to type in my whole fucking name. Otherwise, they just send you on a wild goose chase of stupid fucking shit that doesn't make any sense how the hell that would cause me to not get linked right away. So, come on, YouTube. What the fuck, bud? Geist, good to hear. Might have to fucking make a run to the fridge. I didn't think I'd pound through 3 beers in a fucking hour and a half. But Thomas Edison made the first cat video in 1894. There's nothing more popular than cat videos on the internet today. They get millions of views daily, turning the cats into social media celebrities. Grumpy Cat might be the most popular. Rest in peace, Grumpy Cat. But he wasn't the first. In fact, Thomas Edison was making cat videos before anyone. The very first cat video, Boxing Cats, was filmed in Edison's Black Maria studio in 1894. It was a simple video that revolved around two cats boxing. It set the stage for beloved cat videos on the internet. Thomas Edison. Well, at least he didn't steal that fucking idea for once. Ha ho! Ba-ting tong! The Battle of Los Angeles. After the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor during World War II, tensions heightened across America. That led to the infamous Battle of Los Angeles. Great fucking movie if you've never seen it. Most people fucking knock it because it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of propaganda and shit like that. It's just a fucking movie. Enjoy the damn thing. I like it. I think it's one of the best fucking movies, war movies I've seen in a while. I enjoyed it. However, it ended up being a battle between Los Angeles and weather balloons. Yeah, well, our government kind of admits fucking E.T. is kind of zipping the boot, you know. So, who's to say that, that wasn't actually, a fucking weather balloon? Because it never fell from the sky. Weather balloons don't get shot the fuck up by anti-air guns and then just take the fuck off. Just saying. On February 24th of 1942, the situation became tenser when reports surfaced of Japan possibly attacking the West Coast. Early the following day, meteorologists launched weather balloons to monitor the weather in an unrelated experiment. The military radar picked up the balloons, but U.S. intelligence mistook them for Japanese aircraft. All hell broke loose and soldiers in Santa Monica began shooting at the non-existent aircraft. Later, the Japanese confirmed they had never attacked Los Angeles. But you notice how in this story they don't state how a fucking weather balloon that they apparently shot up fell to the ground? Ain't that a little fucking weird? Yeah. I think this is another one of those situations of, they done lied to us. They were really fucking shooting at something that they fucking were looking at. The cat video was first. Yeah, I would never have guessed that. Wait, Battle of LA was shot in Louisiana? I did not fucking know that. Huh. Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan's postal system. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit here. Genghis Khan is one of the history's most polarizing figures. Khan led the Mongol Empire to great victories throughout the world. He also introduced new concepts, such as the yam. The fucking yam. The yam. Along the Silk routes, in the 13th and 14th... Oh, shit. I thought they meant like the fucking food, the yam. No, the postal system was called the yam. Okay. The yam was basically a complex postal system. The yam allowed communication to travel fast and far. They placed stations strategically along the route, which included food, a place to rest, and spare horses. Mongol messengers would get to the station and pass the information to the next messenger. The yam was a groundbreaking way to communicate and an early version of the modern postal system. These kind of suck. George Washington's teeth. Okay. I wanted wild history that's funny, but they just gave me some stupid shit. Alright, we're moving on. Pope Stephen V put his deceased predecessor on trial. Catholic Church, bro. The story of Cadaver Synod is kind of like the 19th century version of the McDonald's hot coffee lawsuit. On the surface, it sounds silly, but once you learn the facts, it actually makes sense. No, I still think the fucking coffee fucking lawsuit was fucking hooey. In the 9th century, the Pope had the power to crown the Holy Roman Empire. This meant that the popes were involved with political intrigue. And many of them... No, get the fuck off there, stupid motherfucker. Trying to fucking send me cookies. Get my information. Sell it to the Chinese. With their fucking information gathering. Gonna need to get my tin hat. Oh, you son of a bitch. I have an ad blocker on. These fuckers are managing to send ads through. I'm getting kind of impressed by this. That means the popes were involved with political intrigue, and many of them didn't live long after assuming office. Stephen V's predecessor, Formosus, sounds like a fucking drink, reluctantly crowned the Duke of Spoleto. as the Holy Roman Emperor and later crowned the Duke's son, Lambert, in 896. Formosus reversed... Okay, in 1896. Formosus reversed course and crowned one of his allies, King Arnulf of the East Franks. Shortly after becoming emperor, Arnulf became paralyzed... Arnulf became paralyzed and returned to his native Germany, and Formosus himself perished. When Stephen V took his papacy, I am not good at reading fucking old fucking Catholic fucking lingo. When Stephen V took his papacy, the crowning was still in dispute. Stephen had closer ties to Lambert and wanted to reinstate his ally, and the cadaver Senat was a means to delegitimize Formosus and his decisions as pope. Stephen ordered Formosus' 9-month-old corpse be clothed and actually brought to the courtroom, and he appointed a deacon to speak on the departure's behalf. During the sham trial, Stephen accused the cadaver of everything from perjury to violating canonical law. I already know, like I said, half the time I've said through this video, there's gonna be a fucking montage of me fucking shit up. Just tag me in it. That's not a surprise about the Catholic Church. Nah, it's not fucking surprising. What was left of Formosus was found guilty and thrown into the Tiber River. But the trial itself was so controversial that Stephen's reign only lasted a few months until he was stripped of his papal seal and executed. Again, the old adage, don't bother the dead where it rests. No, most people voted saying it sounds made up. I don't think so. Einstein's brain was stolen and went missing for decades. It might sound like a plot of a sci-fi B-movie, but Einstein's brain was really stolen, and shortly after his passing in the 19th century, the brains of the genius were often preserved so that scientists could try to determine the origins of the person's intelligence. For example, half the brain of Charles Babbage, inventor of the first computing machine, is still on display at the Hunterian Museum at London's Royal College of Surgeons. Einstein was aware that scientists might want to study his brain after his passing, and explicitly forbade it. I don't blame the fucking man. Knowing that such studies rarely produce useful information, nevertheless, when Einstein passed at Princeton Hospital in the early morning, April 18th of 1955, the pathologist who examined him, Dr. Thomas Harvey, decided to remove the brain on his own initiative for future study. Dr. Harvey took Einstein's brain home, divided it into 240 pieces, and stored it in two mason jars filled with celloidin. I'm getting some fucking curveball words that I've never heard of thrown at me tonight. I'm generally pretty good at fucking reading. Shortly after Einstein's cremation, his son Hans Albert found out about the theft and was furious. But Dr. Harvey convinced him to let him keep the brain. I would have punched that man right in his fucking jaw. When he hit the ground, I'd have kicked him square in his balls. Just for good measure. This one's for you, Pops. Whack! Taking the brain of the world's most famous physicist without permission did have professional consequences for Dr. Harvey. He soon lost both his jobs at Princeton Hospital and his marriage. His wife was like, hey, yo, you just snatched up on the smartest man's brain that the world's ever basically probably known. You know what? You a fucked up cookie. I'm gonna go stay with my mom. And then never came back and sent him divorce papers. Oh, fuck. Where was I? Then, moved to the Midwest, then Dr. Harvey moved to the Midwest, where he took a series of jobs either practicing medicine or running research labs. He kept Einstein's brain for the next several decades. At one point, storing it in a cider box underneath a beer cooler. One of the smartest human beings to ever fucking live had his fucking brain chopped up into a bunch of teeny little bite-sized pieces and then got stored in a cider box underneath a fucking beer cooler in the Midwest. That is the most Midwest shit I've ever heard about. The only thing that can make this more Midwest is that it was like during ice fishing season or something. Fucking A. Hoping to unlock the secrets of Einstein's intelligence, the fate of Einstein's brain was mostly unknown until 1978, when a reporter tracked Harvey down in Wichita, Kansas. The magazine article about Harvey brought a flood of requests for samples of the brain to study, and starting in 1985, scientists began publishing their findings. Many of these studies did claim to find some differences between Einstein's brain and that of a normal person. But they also lacked representative control groups, making their findings suspect. And even in these studies, had been conducted more effectively, neurology still hasn't determined whether the physical structures of the brain actually affect a person's intelligence. Honestly, I think if you just stick somebody behind a horse as a child and let them get kicked in the head, it might fucking either work or royally fuck them up. I'm only stating this because I got kicked in the head by a horse as a small child. And I'm still trying to figure out if I'm smart or really fucking stupid. And I'm leaning to the really fucking stupid part. Today, what remains of Einstein's brain resides at the Penn Medicine Princeton Medical Center in Plainsboro, New Jersey. Almost nobody is allowed to see it, not even researchers, but many more pieces of Einstein's brain can possibly still be found across America, thanks to Dr. Harvey's habit of giving away pieces to his curious friends. So right now, somewhere in this world, are itty-bitty chunks of Einstein's brain matter in a jar. Holy shit. Moving on. Number 3. The most kissed girl in the world is a 19th century drowned teen whose face was the model for a CPR dummy. Oh, this already sounds really fucking creepy. Oh no, I can see where this is going. She drowned and then they fucking pulled her out and everybody started fucking smooching on her face trying to fucking learn CPR, huh? Of course, France. During the late 19th century in Paris, a body of a girl presumed to be a teenager who drowned herself was pulled from the Seine River. In an attempt to identify the unknown girl, authorities put her body on display in a mortuary. But no one came forward to identify the teen, who became known as... Oh, fuck me. L'Inconnue de la Seine. The unknown woman of the Seine, or the Seine, I don't know how to fucking pronounce it. According to an article on the BMJ, I could have went fucking sideways if it fucking had the words a little reversed. A doctor who conducted an autopsy was struck by the serene look on the girl's face and created a plaster cast, or death mask, of her continuance. Replicas were made of the mask, which went on to become the model for a CPR dummy's face. Oh, thank anything of a higher power. I was really afraid that they just had this chick embalmed and they all just started smooching on her fucking face. I was gonna be like, well, there's the fucking creepiest thing I've ever heard. Luckily, it was a fucking mask. Still fucking creepy. In the late 1950s and 60s, when mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and CPR were invented, Archer Gordon of the American Heart Association noticed that medical students who practiced CPR could end up hurting each other. So he and another doctor, Bjorn Lind, asked a toy maker, Asmon Lardal, to create a mannequin students could practice on. Lardal had seen a replica of the mask of L'Inconnue de la Seine, I know I fucked that up, and used it for a female mannequin dubbed Razuski Ann, or Annie, because it looked so peaceful and wouldn't be intimidating. According to the Lardal Company, which still makes the mannequins, about 300 million people have been trained using Rescue Annie. And she has earned the title of the most kissed girl on the planet. So if you've ever done fucking... Oh, that's fucking creepy. If you've ever had to take CPR training, you more than likely smooched on the face of a deceased woman from France. The more you know. And you probably didn't want to know. Because I've taken CPR training and I've had to do it multiple times throughout my life. And I have likely kissed a dead French woman. Oh shit. Moving on. Oh, we probably all heard about this. Thousands of Southerners moved to Brazil after the Civil War and continued the Confederacy for decades. Thanks to the movies like Boys from Brazil, it's somewhat common knowledge that several members of the Third Reich fled Germany after World War II and took refuge in South America. It's less commonly known that thousands of Confederates did the same after the American Civil War. When the Civil War ended, much of the South was in ruins, and rather than rebuild in a unified America that had abolished slavery, many Southerners preferred to move entirely to different countries, where slavery was still legal. Like Brazil. The Brazilian Emperor, Dom Pedro, who had supported the Confederacy, enticed Southerners to relocate to his country with cheap land and by subsidizing their transport. It's estimated that between 8,000 to 20,000 Southerners left the United States for their other countries, and most of them ended up in Brazil. Many of these Southerners specifically chose Brazil because they wanted to continue enslaving people. For the Brazilian government's part, American Southerners were desirable because of an official policy to make Brazil's population more Caucasian, by enticing Europeans and their American descendants to immigrate to Brazil. Looks like Brazil's hiding on a whole lot of fucking hush-hush secrets. These southern immigrants came to be called Confederados, and they built 5 or 6 settlements across Brazil. Most of the Confederados found Brazil's climate too hot and soil too inhospitable for cultivating the crops they were accustomed to growing. Others failed to assimilate into Brazilian culture, and in 1888, Brazil outlawed slavery, and many Confederados returned to the United States. However, a few hundred Confederados remained, and their descendants still live in Brazil and celebrate their Confederate heritage to this day. One Confederado settlement, Americana, grew into a large city and still has that name. That's wild. The U.S. discussed taking out Fidel Castro with an exploding cigar. Oh, the server went fucking down for a second. They're trying to hush me up, boys. Alright. It sounds like a gag from a Peter Sellers comedy, but exploding cigars really were one of the methods of the CIA considered while plotting to assassinate Cuban President Fidel Castro. The United States has regularly engaged in regime change throughout its history, and Castro, after establishing a communist government just over 100 miles from its border, was a particularly irritating thorn in the nation's side. It's unknown exactly how many times the CIA tried to eliminate Castro, but one of Castro's security officers estimated that there were over 634 attempts on Castro's life. Many of these were conventional assassination plots, like the 1963 plan to shoot Castro with a sniper rifle at the University of Havana. I think the CIA might have tried that a little later on somebody else. Or in 1964, a plan to throw grenades at Castro while he attended a baseball game. Or a 2000 plot to plant explosives under a podium where Castro was due to give a speech. In the year 2000? Damn! I didn't know about that. Fuck, they were still trying to kill this man. But when the conventional plans failed, the CIA was more than willing to think outside the box. Many of these plans tried to take advantage of Castro's personal life. Multiple plans involved his love of cigars, like the plot to plant explosives in a cigar that Castro would smoke, or a 1960 plot to lace a box of his favorite cigars with botulinum. Since Castro was an avid scuba diver, the CIA considered poisoning his diving suit. If the guy was an avid scuba diver, why didn't you just have a SEAL team sitting under the water, and when he dove down, jump his ass? What are they going to prove? Fucking whack, you should whack everybody down there, including Castro, and you swim the fuck off. What are you going to prove? How do you know we did it? Train attack sharks. Fuck it. Get a shark. I don't know, these are my ideas. Oh, let's see. Explosive. Okay, where is this? Oh, it gets crazier. Considered poisoning his diving suit or giving him an exploding seashell. So their plan was to stick an enticing seashell at the bottom of the sea floor, and the motherfucker would go over to it, pick it up, and pull a tripwire, essentially, blowing his ass up. The CIA found a seashell large enough to hide a lethal amount of explosives, painted it to make it stand out, and tried to leave it in a swimming spot, exactly what I was thinking. Spot where the curious Castro would find it. He didn't find it. There were also plans to take him out with a poison fountain pen and a poisoned milkshake. The milkshake plot apparently came the closest to success. At one point, the CIA sent one of Castro's former lovers to take him out. She hid poison pills in a jar of cold cream, but they melted. Castro supposedly guessed that she wanted to end his life and offered his pistol to let her finish the job, but she couldn't work up the nerve. Aww. After the exploding cigar plot failed, the CIA again tried to slip Castro a cigar, this time laced with LSD. The hope was that Castro would start tripping during an interview and ruin his reputation. Castro dodged that one too. Fucking A. So I think the LSD fucking attempt probably would have been the fucking best fucking time that man ever had. Ugh. Oh, we've all heard about that one. And we all heard about that one. Okay, here we go. The E.T. video game that was so bad, they buried thousands of copies in a landfill. The story of the Atari E.T. debacle is a classic tale of corporate mismanagement in the early 1980s. Atari controlled 80% of the $2 billion video game market on the strength of its hits like Pong, Centipede, and Missile Command. The company had also produced a successful adaptation of Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the first video game adaptations of a movie. So, in 1982, Steven Spielberg approached the company about making an E.T. video game. I don't know how that game would be any fucking fun to play. What, is E.T. gonna like fucking run around and like duke it out with fucking Men in Black and shit? Like, found home, and their heads just fucking explode? I don't know, man. It just sounded like a really bad fucking pitch to begin with, if you ask me. The game hit stores with much fanfare. Oh, fuck. Oh, I went too far. Atari president Steve Ross paid $21 million for the rights of the E.T. game, which meant he would need to sell 4 million copies to break even. In order to pull this off, Atari needed to have the game ready for the Christmas sale season. The problem was that Spielberg and Atari made their deal in July of that year. Raiders had taken 10 months to develop, but the game designer Howard Scott Warshaw only had 5 weeks to make a viable product. Miraculously, Warshaw finished the game, and Spielberg signed off on it. But the design later called it to the toughest 5 weeks he had ever endured. The game hit stores with much fanfare, but the gamers soon began complaining about its confusing gameplay system and E.T.'s tendency to fall into holes and get stuck. The game still regularly makes lists of the worst video games ever made. In the end, it only sold 2.5 million copies. With literally tons of unsold copies of E.T. on its hands, Atari opted to bury them all in the desert in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Although Atari tried to keep the dumping quiet, it got reported to the New York Times. However, without the internet to keep it alive, the story faded into memory and eventually became little more than a rumor. That is until 2014, when a documentary crew led by filmmaker Zach Penn found the dumping site and excavated, and the photos up here depict the Atari cartridges that were found in the dump, and they're pretty well fucking together still. Alright, we'll have one more, we'll do one more. And we're going to call it a night for this episode then. Ben Franklin severely electrocuted himself, but not during the kite experiment. Today, people have many misconceptions about Benjamin Franklin's contribution to the study of electricity and his famous kite experiment. First of all, Franklin didn't discover electricity. Electrical force was a subject of scientific interest for centuries, but its properties and potential applications weren't well understood. Franklin's 1752 experiment was only meant to prove a connection between electricity and lightning. In fact, another scientist in Europe had already proven this relationship a month before Franklin. It is true that Franklin flew a kite during a thunderstorm, but it wasn't struck by lightning, and he wasn't electrocuted. When Franklin examined his kite, he received only a small shock from the static electricity. Not as dramatic as the lightning strike we think of today, but it was enough to prove his thesis. However, Franklin was severely electrocuted on another occasion, and for a much less scientific reason. He was cooking dinner. Franklin had been studying electricity since 1745, and he believed that electrocuting a turkey made the meat uncommonly tender. One night in 1749, Franklin was trying to electrocute a turkey when he accidentally touched one of his 2 Leyden jars, an early electrical component used to generate electricity, and received a shock. Franklin himself didn't remember what happened next, but onlooker said Franklin shook violently. Franklin then experienced momentary numbness and a few days of soreness. But the experience arguably taught him as much about electricity as the kite experiment did, which, that shit hurts. Ask any Sparky. Alright. I don't know how long this one's been going for, but it's likely been going for a little while. Yeah, it's probably 2 a.m. by you, it just hit 1 a.m. by me. I appreciate you sticking around, Hunter. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll end this podcast the usual way. Generally, I'm going to have people on to be interviewed. Military personnel, ex-military personnel, stories of such. People that have seen cryptids are welcome to always... Oh, it's just my beard shining. I thought I had like a fucking chip or something in it. It's like, I just did a whole podcast. I got a fucking chip stuck in my beard. What the fuck? Getting back to it. We'll have people that are on that have cryptid stories, things like that of that nature. If you yourself are interested in being on the podcast with stories ranging from pretty much anything, whatever you really want to discuss, stories of your life, stories of history, be whatever it is, message me an email at scodenwindigo@gmail.com. It'll also be down in the description of the video so you can find it much more easily. With that being said, this is the Northwoods Podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Abair, a.k.a. Space Dorito Guy. I bid you all a good night, and a happy holiday season, and a good new year. But more than likely, we will have more podcasts going on throughout this entire time period. So that is it for episode 2 of this podcast. I think, no, it's the ghost behind you. Ah. Yeah, you're funny. We'll definitely have, again, more people on in the future doing interviews and such, and I'll continue to do episodes where I talk about facts throughout history, and, as always, I'll keep doing these live. So I thank everybody that has been here in the live stream tonight. I appreciate your support. Be sure, if you want to follow me still on TikTok, it's now space_Dorito, or you can find this podcast at the Northwoods Podcast. That is also listed on its own separate account. Being on YouTube or Twitch, you're more than likely already watching this on there. Do me a favor. Give me a follow. Give me a like. Hit the bell. It helps out. It helps with the algorithm. I promise to always make sure that the content is good and golden. I won't ever give you some shitty-ass content. Maybe one day when I'm blacked out drunk like Boris Yeltsin, but that'll probably just be fucking hilarious. You never know. With that being said, y'all have yourself a good